When everything around you collapses, when the news is bad, when your plans fall apart, it can feel like the ground has disappeared beneath your feet. There are moments when the soul grows weary, the body weakens, and your thoughts become a whirlwind. But even when everything around you is falling apart, one truth remains: God is still steady. God has not lost control. God has not walked away. Your pain doesn't scare heaven. Your tears don't stop the purpose. They only show that you are human and that you need the divine. And it's precisely in that vulnerability that God draws closest. He is not a distant observer. He is behind the scenes, orchestrating what you don't yet understand. Romans 8:28 assures us that all things work together for the good of those who love God. All things, not just the good moments, but also the painful ones, the confusing ones, the ones that break you. What seems like a terrible mistake today become the shortest path to your promise tomorrow. What breaks you today may be molding you for what's next. You might be going through the worst day of your life, but God is still the same. He is still writing your story, still caring, still turning pain into maturity and despair into testimony. Trust Him. Even when everything feels out of place, He is present in every detail. What looks like a delay, a disappointment, or even a defeat may be the very instrument God is using to reposition you. Frustration is not the end. It might be the push you needed to leave where you no longer belong, or open your eyes to something bigger you hadn't seen yet. It hurts when things don't go the way we hoped. When doors we prayed would open end up closing. When people we love disappoint us, but God never wastes pain. He transforms every frustration into a bridge from where you are to where He wants to take you. Romans 8:28 doesn't say some things work together, it says all things work together for the good of those who love God. That includes what broke you, what hurt, what slipped out of your control. Sometimes God allows plans to fall apart so that His purpose can come into focus. Don't let what went wrong consume you. Breathe. Surrender. Trust. What makes you cry today be exactly what aligns you with the purpose you've been praying for. God knows what He's doing, and more than that, He's leading you with love, even when the path feels too hard to walk. It's hard to see it when everything feels like it's crumbling, but not every fall is destruction, some are construction. God is not letting you sink, He's taking you deeper. He's leading you to a level where your faith roots grow stronger, where your dependence becomes real, where you understand that your foundation can't be emotional or circumstantial, it has to be spiritual. That sinking feeling is real and it shouldn't be ignored. But it also can't be the end of your journey. Sometimes God allows human stability to slip away so our lives are grounded solely in Him, because while the world looks at what's high, God works in the depths. Romans 8:28 reminds us that all things work together, even these soul-digging seasons. You may be quiet, isolated, tired, and everything might seem stagnant. But the work God is doing inside you is invisible to human eyes yet powerful in heaven. And in the right time, everything He's building now will sustain what's coming next. Don't fear the depth of the process. The foundations God is digging today are the base for the purpose He will build tomorrow. Trust Him, even if it feels like a valley. It's sacred ground. God is there, working where no one else can see. The journey with God in a straight line. Sometimes everything flows. Other times we're taken down unexpected roads, full of curves, pauses, and what look like setbacks. But just because the path isn't direct doesn't mean it's outside of God's control. He's still writing your story with precision. Even when the script of your life seems confusing or illogical, the curves that pull you off the path you envisioned might actually be divine detours meant to protect you, grow you, or prepare you. God doesn't work in haste, He works with purpose. And even when you feel lost in the twists and turns, He already knows the destination. Nothing escapes His hand. Romans 8:28 assures us that all things work together for good. That includes the winding roads, the forced pauses, the difficult seasons. What seems like a delay may be protection. What looks like confusion might be refining. What you wanted to avoid may be exactly what will make you stronger. God is writing a unique story with your life. And even if you don't understand this chapter right now, keep trusting the author. He knows the end from the beginning, and when he writes, even the commas have a purpose. Today's detour be the straight line to tomorrow's promise. Some seasons of life feel completely disconnected from everything you dreamed or prayed for. Times when nothing seems to fit, and your heart wonders if it's even worth continuing. But it's in these confusing chapters that God is building what will only be revealed later. That's why faith is essential. It's the invisible thread that holds you until the full picture makes sense. God doesn't reveal everything at once because He's teaching you to depend on Him day by day. He's not late, nor has He forgotten you. He's working carefully, crafting details you'll only understand later. And in the meantime, He invites you to trust. Romans 8:28 reminds us that all things work together for the good of those who love God, even the things that seem random, unfair, or painful. Sometimes what feels useless today will be what sustains you tomorrow. Today's loss may be the key to the door that opens later. Today's waiting may be the foundation of your spiritual maturity. Faith is accepting the now even when you don't understand it. It's knowing God doesn't write unfinished stories. It's standing firm, even when everything around you says otherwise, because the God who brought you this far has already seen the ending, and He guarantees it will work out for your good. You don't need a peaceful environment to be certain God is present. He doesn't disappear when things spiral out of control. He doesn't retreat when everything becomes pain, doubt, or confusion. God's presence is not dependent on your surroundings. It's guaranteed by who He is: constant, faithful, and close to those who call on Him. In the middle of the chaos, the noise, the loss, or the disappointment, God is still there. Maybe you don't feel Him the way you want to. Maybe it's too dark to see any direction, but He is present. And more than present, He is active, sustaining you, even when your emotions can't perceive it. Romans 8:28 doesn't ignore the chaos, it includes it. It says all things work together for good to those who love God. The chaos too. The pain too. Even the moment when everything feels like it's falling apart. And it's precisely in that moment that heaven draws closest to your soul. Don't wait for everything to be resolved to acknowledge that God is with you. He's already there right now, right in the middle of the storm. And where He is, there is comfort, direction, and hope. Even in chaos, His presence is shelter. God isn't moved by eloquent speeches or flawless prayers. What moves His heart is sincerity that rises from the depths of pain. It's when you pray without words, with a torn soul, a heavy heart, and still choose to talk to Him. These prayers, whispered through tears and exhaustion, carry immeasurable value in heaven. There is deep spiritual power when pain drives you into God's presence. Romans 8:26 reminds us that even when we don't know what to say, the Spirit intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. God never turns away a broken heart. In fact, He draws near to it. He hears when no one else does. And He responds with grace even when all we offer Him are the pieces. Romans 8:28 declares that all things work together, even those tear-filled prayers. When you pray at the edge of your strength, you are closer to God than you think, because it's in that real, unfiltered surrender that He works most powerfully. Keep praying even if it's with a trembling voice. Even if all you can do is cry. Your broken heart is not rejected, it's received like pure incense before the throne of grace. And God doesn't just listen. He answers, in His time, in His way, with love. The greatest act of strength in faith, in fighting until you collapse, it's knowing when to let go and surrender. There's a kind of weariness that is only healed through total surrender. When you try to solve everything alone, carry the weight on your shoulders, and control what is beyond your reach, the burden becomes unbearable. But when you decide to place everything in God's hands, something shifts not just around you, but inside you. Surrender is not giving up, it's trust. It's acknowledging that God knows more, sees further, and leads better. It's when you look at the situation draining you, take a deep breath, and say, God, I can't handle this, but you can. That's the turning point, because it's in that moment that peace begins to enter even before your circumstances change. Romans 8:28 shows us that all things work together for those who love God, and loving God means trusting Him, even without understanding. It means surrendering everything to Him, even what hurts the most, even what you desperately wanted to fix with your own hands. Spiritual wisdom is recognizing that with God, you're not losing control, you're giving it to the one who never fails. You're not weak for not being able to do it all. You're wise when you choose to rest in God, and while you surrender, He prepares. While you let go, He upholds, and in His timing, everything begins to make sense. The absence of feelings is not the absence of God. His presence isn't always marked by chills, tears, or intense emotions. Sometimes everything within you feels dry, empty, silent, and yet He is still there, steady, close, working quietly while you walk by faith, not by feelings. God is not limited by your emotions. He doesn't need your feelings to continue being who He is: present, faithful, and constant. On days when everything feels spiritually distant, He is still sustaining you, protecting you, and working behind the scenes of your life. He doesn't need to be felt to be active. Romans 8:28 assures us that all things work together for good. Even those seasons when it seems like nothing is happening, even what you don't perceive is being aligned by God. Sometimes, the greatest spiritual growth happens in silence. That's when your faith matures. That's when you learn to trust not in what you feel, but in who He is. You may be walking through a dry season, but the river of God is still flowing within you. Keep praying, keep believing, keep walking. The absence of feeling is not the absence of presence. The God who loves you never leaves you even when everything inside you says otherwise. The pain that weighs on your shoulders today will not last forever. What now seems like only suffering will one day be remembered as the place where God found you, shaped you, and lifted you up. No tear will be wasted, no battle will be in vain. God never allows pain without purpose. He turns every wound into strength, every fall into a new beginning, every loss into rebirth. It's hard to believe this when your soul is tired, but God's timing reveals what the present tries to hide. The healing that hasn't come yet is being built. The answer you're waiting for is being prepared. The transformation has already started even if your eyes can't see it yet. God works in silence before revealing publicly what He's doing in secret. Romans 8:28 assures us, all things work together for the good of those who love God. That includes today's pain, the current anguish. What seems like only loss may become your greatest testimony, because God has the power to use what hurt you as a platform for your healing and for the healing of others. Don't rush the process. Allow God to, in His perfect timing, turn all that has wounded you into something that brings glory to His name. The day will come when you'll look back and even thank Him for the pain because it brought you closer to Him. You won't always be able to keep life's reins in your hands. Sometimes everything slips out of your plans. People change, doors close, plans fail, and what once seemed certain suddenly collapses. That's when the heart begins to panic. But it's also when faith must rise with more strength, because even when everything falls out of your control, nothing escapes God's. You don't need everything figured out to feel secure. Your security doesn't come from external stability, but from the inner certainty that your Father is in control. While you try to make sense of it all, He's already guiding the way. While you see chaos, He sees purpose. Romans 8:28 says that all things work together for the good of those who love God. That includes the days when everything seems chaotic. God doesn't lose control just because you've lost your direction. He remains sovereign, orchestrating every detail with precision and grace. You can trust Him, even when everything feels out of order. God is still on the throne, working on your behalf. Your story is safe in His hands. You are not adrift, you are in the hands of the Creator. Losing something important can shake you deeply. The emptiness, the absence, can be overwhelming. But even in the hardest losses, God sees far beyond what you can see right now. He's working on new beginnings, on doors yet to be opened, on blessings being prepared specifically for you. When you give your pain to God, He not only heals what was broken, He plants seeds for your future. Romans 8:28 declares that all things work together for the good of those who love God. That includes not only what you lost, but also what He's already preparing for you. Sometimes it's hard to wait and trust, especially when grief and absence tighten around your heart. But God has a purpose for every loss. He can turn what looked like an ending into a brand new beginning filled with hope and promise. Don't let the past steal your faith in the future. God is writing a new chapter and the best is yet to come. Hard times are a part of life, but they do not define who you are or what God has planned for you. Every difficult chapter is just a part of your story, not your ending. God is writing a book of hope, resilience, and victory, and this current stretch is just a turning point towards something greater. Romans 8:28 assures us that all things work together for the good of those who love God. That means hard times are not the end in themselves, they are tools in God's hands to shape, strengthen, and prepare you for what's ahead. You may feel like everything is lost, like hope is gone, but the truth is, God is still in control of your story. He has the power to turn your pain into wisdom, your battle into testimony, and your crisis into spiritual growth. Don't let the current chapter define your destiny. God has plans of peace and prosperity for you, and your story is far from over. God's silence can be painful. When we pray and nothing seems to happen, when heaven feels shut, our hearts can feel abandoned. But divine silence is not neglect, it's a sacred season of preparation. God is working even when everything feels still, even when you can't hear His voice. This waiting period may be what strengthens your faith and shapes your character. Romans 8:28 reminds us that all things work together for good, and silence is part of that cooperation. While you wait, God is aligning circumstances, preparing answers, and building miracles that will be revealed at the right time. Silence can be the space where God whispers the loudest to your heart. He uses the wait to teach you patience, trust, and surrender. Don't give up or lose heart. The silence that hurts today be the sign that healing is on the way. Trust God's timing. The answer is coming, and it will be far greater than you imagined. No difficult moment is beyond the reach of divine purpose. Even the situations that hurt you the most, that don't make sense right now, and seem to bring only pain, are being used by God for something greater. All things work together for good, not because everything is good, but because God is good and sovereign over all things. Romans 8:28 leaves no room for doubt. All things work together, including the tears, the losses, the doubts, and the wounds. Every bitter experience you face today can be transformed into strength, wisdom, and testimony for tomorrow. God wastes nothing. He rebuilds what was broken, uses what was rejected, and renews what seemed lost. Even if your story is marked by tears, know that God is writing a glorious ending. The promise is sure for those who love God. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will be in vain. Trust Him and allow Him to turn every piece of your life into a testimony of victory.